Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie Jennings from EJSLLC.com. This video is going to be just some musings about the consumption of music and what I do with that, and also getting some feedback from all of you about how you consume your music and such. Before I dive in, I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video. Also want to invite everyone, if you enjoy the content, make sure you click like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you click that subscribe button and ring the bell so you can know when new content comes available. So the thing that crossed my mind this week is the fact that I don't really consume enough music in my opinion. And this comes from my years as a band director, and then studying music in college, and then going back even further than that when I first started studying music. I've enjoyed listening to music, and I do listen to music, but I always feel like I don't listen to it enough. And there's no real qualitative way of, or I guess quantitative is the better word, way of saying you should listen to X amount of music, but I always feel like that I don't listen enough. Just because there's a ton of music out there, it's not possible to listen to it all. But one of the things that I stress to my students is listening to music. And then when I look at myself and I'm not listening as much as I think I should, I feel like sometimes I might do a disservice to my students, kind of one of these do as I say but don't do as I do moments. So one of the things I'm going to try to do this year in 2021 is just take some time to listen to more music. And in particular, some things I'm wanting to listen to, or things I maybe have not listened to before, and try to discover new music, either new composers or new musicians and such, that they themselves might not be new to the music scene, but they're new to my ears. And so what that brings up is, how would I consume said music? And I have a music library. It's not vast. You can actually, I think it's to my right. I'm looking at the camera, so I'm trying to think left and right here, but you see it back there. There it is. When in doubt, just point and look, right? So it's not vast, but it's most of what I have music-wise. And so I'm thinking about how best to consume that. A long time ago, when I was in undergrad and such, I would enjoy ripping all my CDs and categorizing them and playing them through Winamp way back when, still whipping the llama's ass, right? And but now, I can't remember the last time I listened to one of my CDs. I was a user of RDO several years ago. I had a friend of mine who was also my boss turned me on to it, and it had some stuff that I enjoyed. And I subscribe to Spotify right now. But my issue with streaming services is, although there is a huge library of music to listen to, far more than any one person could listen in their lifetime, and it is unlikely that these services are going away, but I feel like I'm just kind of renting my music library rather than growing the music library that I have. Now, that being said, of course I'm not keeping up with market trends in the music industry, but I would imagine CDs are not as readily available for newer music, because I would imagine many artists are publishing to where their fan base is, and I know that streaming is a very popular thing. And so it kind of puts me in a position of, if I want to start consuming more music and doing it also in the sense of building my music library, what's the best way to handle that? I'm not quite sure the answer to that, and I'm actually quite curious, you watching the video, how you consume music, and whether or not you stream or you purchase recordings, or you do both. What's your balance with it? One idea I had was ripping my CD collection and spinning up a Jellyfin server in my home lab, or really not necessarily my home lab, but just my LAN at home, and basically streaming my own music library to a device like my cell phone or tablet or laptop or whatever. And I kind of like the idea of that, because typically, if I'm going to be listening to music, if I keep the same behaviors that I do now, my primary time of listening is going to be if I'm driving. That's probably one of the reasons why, especially this past year, I haven't listened to nearly as much music, because obviously we're not driving as much with work from home and the pandemic and all of that. But I think that might be the happy medium for me, as far as if I want to build my own music library, start with the music library that I have, and make it available from a streaming perspective for my own devices. But that still gets to the question of, how am I going to acquire new music? And that, as I said, I'm not quite sure the answer to yet. My initial thinking is, for the price that I pay a month for Spotify, which I think is like 12 or 13 bucks, way back when that would basically be the price of a CD. And so perhaps I could look and see if people are still, publishing music on CDs and going that route, not paying for the Spotify necessarily, but purchasing an album a month and adding it to my music library. But what I wonder is, for artists that are out there, how do people purchase their music and such? And by purchase, I'm really talking about purchasing the recordings themselves, because really, as far as music, other than like getting the manuscript for something, if something's been transcribed, really what we're doing is just purchasing recordings. And so, is it, do a lot of artists simply make their music available on platforms like iTunes and such, which I know that iTunes itself, I think I'm not sure if it's going away, but it's pretty much Apple Music is the thing for that. And a problem I have with ecosystems like iTunes and such is, me as a Linux user, that's not something that's necessarily available to me without having to jump through some hoops, which is another reason why I'm wanting to expand my own music library to where it's kind of platform neutral. And that's where the idea of Jellyfin comes from. But the question still becomes acquiring new music. So probably what I'm going to do is, look to see if groups still make CDs, and if so, maybe purchase that and rip that and add it to the music library. Otherwise, perhaps there are some services out there and some artists that, if you contact them, it's like, hey, I don't necessarily want to stream your music. I want to purchase a recording to have in the music library. Perhaps that's something that's available as well. But again, I'm curious what all of you do for your music consumption. Do you stream? Do you purchase CDs? Do you purchase something else to add to your music library? Do you do a combination of all of the above? Leave your comments on the video about how you handle it, because I'm just looking for some ideas of how to acquire some newer musics and discover some newer musics to be able to add to the music library. So again, thanks for taking the time to watch. I know this is different than my IT videos, obviously, and a bit different than my music tutorial videos that I've done in the past. But one of my goals for 2021 was to do a little bit more variety of content and some blog like this. So if you enjoyed it and thought it thought-provoking, make sure you click like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you click that subscribe button and ring the bell. And also don't hesitate to leave your comments about how you consume music, whether streaming or not, and what suggestions you might have for me for getting back into the habit of consuming music. Thanks again for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you the next time.